in the name of simplicity, how does one deal with change? This brother right here, Andrew, he has simplified some steps for us all to apply to our life. And a big core starting point is noticing and learning how to get out of our heads and back into our hearts. Brothers and sisters, we can't thank you enough for all your love, your support, and your faithfulness. It's been brought to my attention, if you really want to do something to bless us, to thank us, apparently simply hitting the like button on YouTube would be more impactful than what I ever knew, let alone subscribing to us on YouTube if you're not already. And then over on Spotify and Apple, please leave us a review. All of your listening and your comments to us mean the world to us. And do us a favor and just hit like on YouTube and leave us reviews on Spotify and Apple. And we're going to continue to serve you with our whole heart. Thank you so much.
Good morning, Tattoo Guardians. Good morning, you beautiful people. We are here with another episode. It's a little bit different. It's a little bit earlier today than normal. Matt is actually in Mexico with his friend and mentor, Andrew Kroeze. We are super excited to get going and talk about all things change. Let's get this today.
Happy day. Hello, brother. How are you,
Hello.
man?
I'm good. Like I said, we're doing this a little bit earlier. We got a little bit of a time kind of change, so I had to get up a lot earlier than normal, and I fucking love it. I'm awake, and I got a spring in my step, and I'm like, ooh, I'm going to try to make this happen more often because I feel so good, you know?
Woo! Oh, I love it. I was thinking the same thing because I think like the time we decided to meet was like 7:30 a.m. your time, right?
Yeah. And I just don't. I've notoriously not slept. You're the same way. I know. You're probably the only person I've ever met that's got it as bad as me. Where like Nikki's like, you better go to bed, and it's like it doesn't matter if I'm watching TV. If I go to bed, I'm going to be awake. But I kind of ended up getting some really good sleep. It was a little struggle to get up, and honestly, once I got up and like poured myself a drink and just kind of not a drink like alcohol, but actually orange juice. But
yeah.
I don't know. I was like, man, this feels really good, and I get to do this podcast, and I'm just originally I was like, I'll go back to bed. And it's like, no, I'm gonna go outside and enjoy this beautiful day.
Oh my God, Josh, it's so good, so good. Oh my God, yeah, we're just 1 hour off from you, so it's 8:30 a.m. here. Which me being a night owl, even making that commitment, I told Andrew yesterday, like, it's gonna take a miracle. Not for me to wake up, but for me to wake up and be able to talk.
Right.
Like he woke me up and he made me some coffee, and then before we met, we just did a really great breathwork session.
Nice.
Which has been amazing. We've talked about it before. I've mentioned breathwork, but I've never really done it until I came here this week, and he's been ushering me in it daily.
Okay.
And just that one practice is life-changing already. I can tell just by doing it the past 2 days only.
That's awesome.
Dude, in the first breathwork session we did was a total of 3 minutes. But it was so powerful, Josh, that in those 3 minutes, it felt like we left time and space.
Wow.
So that was beautiful. That's definitely something now that I know I'm taking on into my life, and I believe I'll be able to speak to more on a deeper level from my own experience. But I already know. And again, it helped me be more alive for this moment this early.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'll be honest. I was last night. I was like, I wonder if I know Matt has a hard time, getting up as well. So this should be really interesting. We both just show up and we're just like, hey, hello, fellow guardians. Just like nodding out on the air, Today we're talking about sleep.
Even's like, hey, his wife's name's Nicole. He's like, I can do an episode with Nicole, which is fucking beautiful. And that was partly like, if this is completely an unrealistic plan for me that, so it's already a win that we're here. And this is a history in the making. The first episode we ever recorded in the morning.
Yeah. And what's cool too is not only is this the first episode in the morning, this is episode 100.
Oh,
Yes.
it is, isn't it?
I can't believe that. And part of it feels like we've been doing this for a lifetime, and part of it feels like we started yesterday.
My
You know,
God.
it's really interesting, actually. And I think that's why I brought up, change, this morning, because, a lot has changed. In 100 episodes, a lot of things have happened. Some amazing, some tragedy, a lot of growth, a lot of healing. My cancer has been up and down and in and out, and I'm in a wonderful place with it right now. I get a scan soon, and I'm feeling extremely confident that it's going to, still be, the tumors will still be shrinking. I know
Yeah.
you've gone through some tragic events in your life that our listeners, if you've been following along, you're definitely aware of. And we're actually we're short a host, so we've definitely been going through some big changes, and it's, interesting to see how you deal with change, how we all individually deal with change. I used to really be terrible at it, to be honest with you. You
Uh,
know, I really would have my routines. This is exactly how everything is laid out, and then something as simple as, you know, moving my garbage can in my tattoo station would like throw me off, right? Like you're so used to throwing it in the same spot every time, right? And so you build
yeah.
this habit up where you move your garbage can just to rearrange, and then you're like constantly trying to put it back where it used to be. You
Right.
ever do? Do you know what I'm talking about? Like just that little bit of change, and you just feel so like
Uh,
discombobulated, you
uh,
know?
yes. And, I think some of that depends on the personality type. But what you were explaining to me, I was feeling like somebody that's either got a specific structure already in
Mm-hmm.
their life. And if anything rocks that structure, it can like wreck or rock the whole boat, even if
Yeah,
in your
yeah,
internal state. Um, Yeah, and I think that's why you brought up, like, I used to not be good with change. Just the simplest shit, like if you move my trash can 6 inches, that could just fuck me up, right?
right.
But now in your life, even I've watched you, like, my God, now we've been hit with so much opportunity to change. Half
Right.
of it, we didn't even have a fucking choice, but our choice has been, oh my God, now what? Right?
Yeah, yeah,
And so I
exactly.
feel like we've been forced and thrusted in to the classroom of dealing with change, and I don't even remember voting on
Right.
it.
Yeah, yeah. There's that book, that beautiful book, actually. One of our listeners sent us all a copy of it. Who Moved My Cheese? Do you remember that book?
um, who
So,
moved my cheese?
yeah,
Yes,
it's like maybe I need to write my own version of Who Moved My Garbage Can. Yeah,
man, I love it. That was a great gift. I can't speak on it because I didn't read it.
it's really good. You should. It's a really easy read. It's a
Yeah,
beautiful gift. I feel awful because just at the moment, because it's so early, I'm drawing a blank on the name of who sent it. But you know who
yeah.
you are, and thank you so much.
Such a sweetheart. Yeah. It's funny, Josh, because Andrew yesterday wanted to show me like a little short video, and he asked me about it. He's like, man, have you ever heard of this? And it's like, rang a bell. I knew I'd never seen the video. But then I was like, I think my brother Josh brought it up on the Guardians podcast once. And it was a video and a story about the egg.
Yes, yes, I
Yeah. And
love
didn't you
that.
bring that up?
I did. Yeah, great, great story. I love that.
Yeah, dude. And I just thought that was
Got tattooed on my ring finger. Married to
Nice.
that theory.
my goodness.
That's
The egg
awesome.
theory. That's right.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. And the meaning of that is our only mission in life is to mature in love and consciousness and to evolve in that way. It's helped me keep life really simple. Am I staying in love? Am I conscious of my thoughts, feelings, and actions?
Yeah.
And that's all I got to focus on. And when I fill my cup up, it overflows to others. And it helps me better deal with change when I'm focused on that.
I love that. Andrew, do you think, like, what is it that makes us as humans, things can be so much simpler, right? As I'm getting older, I'm learning that like things tend to be working out the best when I just simplify them. Why do we go so hard to make it so hard for us? Like, do you know what the reason why that's what we've evolved into, is to make things super hard when usually the answer is right in front of us?
Oh, yeah. I've thought about this a lot. And from personal experience, we are in our environment. When I was in college, I was depressed for 6 years, severely depressed, in and out therapy, very numb, taking Wellbutrin and Lexapro, so disconnected from myself and felt so disconnected from other people. And I was in an environment that wasn't conducive to simplicity, to healing. I was in college. I was drinking a lot. I was drinking 3-4 nights a week, and I was in that environment that was just pure chaos, really. And we can simplify it if we're in the right environment. That's where it all starts. Surrounding ourselves with the people that align with our values and that actually light us up. And it's the hardest part. I've had to cut a lot of people out of my life.
Yeah.
Some just fizzle out, and others, you got to have those hard conversations. But Matt and I were just talking about this. We're very much like a seed and a tree. It's all about the soil that we're in, the environment that we're in. Are we in a nutritious environment that allows us to keep it simple? Or are we in an environment that isn't fertile, that's just pure chaos? And we're going to get more of that. And are we in that environment that's going to allow us to grow and become a very, very strong tree?
Yeah. And we know it's all about who in our environment and then who we associate with. We've known this, but my knowing of it's continuing to grow and evolve, right? Yeah. My knowing is evolving within my experience. Oh my God, which is just been huge. But even for example, like who you attract into your life. So we're here in San Miguel. Did I say it right?
Mm-hmm.
Did I? Or like an American where I'm like, buongiorno.
Right.
Gracias.
I would like to eat a crescent roll, please.
And guys, just to kind of paint the picture, I mean, I wish I could just take this camera and take you on a whole tour, but we're basically staying in a mansion in the hills of San Miguel overlooking the whole city. It's absolutely beautiful here. When I say mansion, this place has multiple homes. And so when I came here just, 48 hours ago, and I showed up at, I think, midnight. Anyways, there are other people living here and sharing this home. Actually, 4 other girls. And they're fucking like goddesses in their own right, like fucking fairies, magical, like just beautiful, powerful women. And all of them, like individually, just uniquely in their power, like here growing in their own giftings, in their own awareness, but they're doing it together individually. But well, guess what I'm getting at is I showed up here. The only person I knew was my brother here, but everyone else here is operating on a level that's so impressive, attractive, and just like, wow, like there's certain people, once you get around them, then so much possibility breaks open, and the desire for you to once again believe again and step into your best life seems so much more doable and possible because everyone around you is doing it too.
Right. Definitely. It's so important with who you surround yourself with. Absolutely. We've talked about that in the past, and that's something I've learned. Andrew was saying he had to cut some people out. Some people fizzled away on their own. I think that's definitely an important step, right?
Yeah, and one thing that I would love to add to that, Josh and Matt, is that just 6 years ago, I was living in a really shitty 500 square foot apartment in Chicago. I was paying, rent was so cheap back in the day for cheap apartments. It was like $500, $600 per month.
Wow.
And the thing that changed was me. I finally took radical responsibility for my life. I was in so much pain for 6 years, so much numbness. And for some reason, it just finally sparked that if I take radical responsibility for my life, I can create anything out of it. I was reading this poem called Invictus by William Ernest Henley, and the final 2 lines are, "I master my fate and captain my soul." And that became my mantra to change my life. First thing that I did was set a goal to lose 20 pounds and to quit drinking. And I lost a lot of friends. I stopped going out. I stopped drinking. But I started to become so fucking proud of myself, which I hadn't been in 6 years. Day 45, I broke down and cried in the shower. Don't know why I was crying. I was like, why is this going on? But it was so cathartic. I hadn't cried in 6 years. I started to feel again from not drinking and from working out. And then 30 days later, I looked down at the scale at the YMCA and I was 21 pounds lighter. And it was like, oh my gosh, if I just take radical responsibility for my life and do what I put my mind to, I can create anything out of it. 15 days later, I was 90 days sober, and I accomplished those 2 goals. I hadn't accomplished a meaningful goal in 6 years, and it was finally, whoa, I can do it. And then since that time, I've just constantly been evolving. We've been talking about this momentum thing.
Come on.
We just got to take imperfect action towards a meaningful goal. And at some point, we'll catch momentum, and momentum will help us carry forward.
My God.
And complete these things. And I've changed. We all have the capacity to change, and it starts with taking radical responsibility for our life. And then we attract what we are, not what we want. So as we change, our energy changes, we attract new, beautiful things into our life naturally instead of forcing it.
I love that. And it's almost like, when you're telling me about this weight that you lost, I'm almost picturing like each pound was also like a part of you that you were cleaving off a part of yourself that you didn't need, right? So instead of just like your friends and stuff that you didn't need, it was literally the parts of you that needed to go away. The weight was 2 things, right? Which I just love. Yeah. I talk about change a lot. It's something that my wife and I both have been going through a lot in the last few years. And she told me this story last night, and I'm going to try not to mess it up. You may have heard it before, but it's the story about a child at his grandmother's house, and she's got 3 pots of boiling water on the stove. Have you guys heard this story before?
No.
So she's got 3 pots of boiling water, and in the first pot, she puts carrots in. And so she cooks the carrots up, and she serves it to her grandchild, and she says, "What do you think of this?" And the little boy says, "Oh, they've gotten really mushy. They've gotten really soft. These carrots have just gone soft." So in another pot, she puts eggs. And she's like, "Well, what do you think of this?" And he's like, "Oh, this egg is really hard. It's really hardened, And so in the third boiling pot, she puts coffee in one, and said, "What do you think of this?" And he's like, "Oh, the coffee has changed. The coffee, instead of getting soft or getting hard, the coffee actually went with the flow and changed into something beautiful." I'm not saying it exactly as beautiful as she told me, but it changes with the heat.
Oh my God! It changes with the heat. Oh man!
There's a T-shirt.
Yeah, Baba. My God. And it reminded me of a post he made earlier this week where, he dropped a post earlier where it says, "Sometimes the universe tests you the most when you're so close to a new level. So keep going."
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, man.
It's a struggle. Like, it's so easy to see things when you're not involved in it. And so, like, when you'll have a friend, like a couple, they're both your friends, and they've got some issues, and it's like easy for you to see those issues, right? Because you're witnessing it. They don't really know what's going on with them, but we can see it. And I'll see people struggling with change all the time, and I'm always just kind of like, I just want to grab them and shake them, you know what I mean, and like help them go in the direction that I think would be beneficial to them, but they just don't see it. And I don't think you see it until you're ready, Andrew. I don't think until you are ready to get clean, to get sobered up, to lose that weight, and that's something that I've been struggling with myself. Is you'll hear me a lot of the time saying I've been looking at it the wrong way. It's been a mantra in my life for a while, and at first it was like embarrassing. I'm like, man, I sure am saying this an awful lot, like I've been looking at stuff the wrong way an awful lot, but I'm glad I was able to own up to it, the mistakes that I was making. And then I know I will continue to make new mistakes, but it did allow me to kind of let go and lean into the change. I'm overwhelmingly busy right now. So every time somebody's like, hey, how you been, Josh? And then my first thing is just like super busy. I just want a break. And last night it kind of struck me because I knew I needed to get up super early for this podcast. And like I said earlier, I'm not real big on getting up early because I don't sleep well. I had a really hectic, stressful day yesterday, and you start to just kind of like, I don't even want to do this thing. I don't want to do that. I just want to, take a break. And then I remembered that a few months ago, the same couch that I was sitting on complaining, I couldn't get up off of because I was laying there sick from cancer treatments and thinking I'll never even be able to like take my shoes off and walk in the grass again because I was so sick. It hurt to turn my head. So the thought of getting up and actually walking was literally, it seemed impossible. And then when I finally was able to get up, I was in a wheelchair and it just was a struggle after struggle. But now you're telling me I get to get up and come down here and do a podcast with you amazing people. Like, fuck all of that worrying about everything. I'm going to lean into this change. I'm going to lean into this and enjoy every second I have because I almost lost it,
You're so powerful. And I think it's just a testament to life is seasons. It's not forever. Yeah. I mean, there's desired change and there's undesired change. And like you were kind of going through that undesired change with cancer, and then you're kind of going through some undesired change right now.
The part was like, I don't even remember voting.
Right, but exactly.
The beautiful thing is that it's always happening for us. And like Josh, you've become so much stronger from going through that. Yeah. And Matt, you're becoming so much stronger right now with everything that you're going through. And 2 years ago, I was in the shit. And Matt came out to visit me in San Diego, and he saw me just at my lowest point.
Exactly 2 years ago to almost this week.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's interesting. That is interesting how it works, how things go in cycles like that.
Yeah, and he was in a major transition in his life 2 years ago and was like broken and being called elsewhere with zero vision clarity on what that looks like. And that was him being placed on the operating table for change internal to begin, right?
Yeah. I don't know if you guys have gone through this before. I'm assuming you have, but I lost that weight, quit drinking, built up a business, a 7-figure business. I got all this shit together. I'm good. I know what I'm doing. Boom. 2021 hit, beginning of 2021. Broke up with a girlfriend, had a falling out with the best friend, going through massive burnout, got in a car accident, woke up in the hospital, all in 1 month. I don't have my shit together anymore.
Yeah.
Man,
it's just
and you have to just be prepared for that change because it happens to all of us,
Yeah.
You can't just sit there and have this same little safe bubble all the time. That's not living life. That's not quality of life, I know it sounds so cliche to say I lean into it and I get to, but like this is my reality. Absolutely. You just have to really truly believe in it and embrace it. For me, it was in the beginning, it was like, we talk a little bit about toxic positivity, and it felt like that a little bit in the beginning when it's just a shit storm on me constantly. And I'm like, it's a beautiful day and I might die tomorrow, but slowly it becomes your reality. I wouldn't even say slowly sometimes, because a lot of amazing things happened really fast as well, because I was surrounding myself by the right people. My attitude was very changed. My doctors all noticed it immediately. They were like, wow, you're doing so much better than you were, and so much better than other people that are in the same situation as you. And even down to like, kind of like, what are you doing? Keep doing that,
I love it. It's even the irony of this conversation, because for a few moments it was as if we were talking about change and going through it as if we're on the other side of it. And we're talking about change while we're in the fucking middle of it.
Yes. Complaining about traffic while being traffic. Yes.
Yeah,
it's ever evolving,
Yeah. And so are we. So are you. Those of us that choose. That's why willingness. Who's willing to lean into it? Who's willing to go through the process, the heat you were talking about for the change? But we got to go through the heat, and it's uncomfortable. And there's a part of us that want to resist that, right? And when then we go into the trying to be, trying to do. And I'm still learning to quit trying to be and to just be. And to like allow the process and to lean into it. And I've done this myself, whether it's dealing with pain, whether it's going through whatever the case may be, there will be a part of me emotionally that will stop and almost bypass it or think, okay, that's good. And I'm noticing, am I really dealing with it or am I bypassing it? Oh, I got to open back up, feel some more fuck, right? But this takes courage. This takes time. This takes bravery and a willingness. And it's a learning process. Just like raising kids, there was no handbook. Just like going through this heat and allowing yourself to be operated on is what I call it, to feel it all. There's been no handbook. It's like I've been learning in the process of tuning into it. Well, already in my language right now, you guys know I'm a man of many words and sometimes can complicate things, right? And Josh here, I've always appreciated him because he's a man of simplicity, and he calls break your life into manageable chunks. This brother right here, Andrew, Josh, I know you'd appreciate, because a masterful gift that Andrew flows in is to be able to capture anything and simplify it so that we can actually apply it into our life. And I know you appreciate that, Josh, and I need that in my life. And so in the name of simplicity, how does one deal with change? He has simplified some steps for us all to apply to our life. And a big core starting point is noticing and learning how to get out of our heads and back into our hearts. Right?
I love that.
Do you mind speaking to that at all, or?
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Right after I lost all that weight, I went into business mode because I had so much confidence. I had lost all that weight. I had quit drinking. I was like, this is my time to just go, 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 go. And I did that for 5 years, and it was really amazing. Built an amazing company. Matt was one of the people in it. And then I burnt out hardcore in 2021. And my life was so chaotic. And I thought I had it all together. And over the past 2 years, I've realized I was so in my head. I hadn't been actually creating a life that was aligned with my values and my heart and my body and what I actually wanted, because I hadn't been in my body. I hadn't been in my heart. And we can get success from being up in the head, but not the right type of success.
To the point where my man built like a multi-million-dollar company and just walked away from it all 2 years ago. And that's when I was with him, and he was broken, and he was about to go like live with monks and shit.
Wow.
And I thought I was going to be a monk for 3 years. I was like, I'm ready to burn you all down. Let me just...
Right.
So, I was looking for a monastery or an ashram to go to. It was all shut down because of COVID. But after 2 months, finally found one shipping on to Ashram Ranch in upstate New York, and just got away from everything. And finally, with a month worth of meditation, chanting, eating vegan food, being out in nature, finally tapped back into the body and the heart, which I had been missing for 5 years. And life got so much fucking better after that. Because then I got to experience that again. It was hard going to the ashram for a month where it's like there's nothing really to do. You're with yourself. But it allowed me to experience life again. felt like for 5 years, it was all just go, 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 go. And I couldn't feel as much. And my biggest takeaway was that it's the space between the notes that make the music.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I was creating a lot of noise in my life from my thoughts, everything in my head being so noisy. So my life was noise. But when we can put space between our thoughts to feel into our body, feel into our heart, we can create a symphony out of life. We can create beautiful music out of life. And how we do that is what I teach is creating energy rituals in our life, moments where we put space between our thoughts, whether that is through breath work, which is a beautiful way to do it, or through meditation, or through exercise when we get into that hard exercise and those thoughts just stop and you go into your body. We're putting space between our thoughts and we become more aware of them. So we have more control over our thoughts, feelings, and actions over our life when we put space between them. Mm-hmm. And that's made my life been able to manifest this beautiful experience here because I've been consistently putting space between my thoughts so I can create music in my life.
And by doing that, the first thing that leaves is judgment.
Nice.
He can't create space between his own thoughts if he's in judgment about him, his own deal, right? Meaning he's going from judge to observer, right? I'm not going to just sit here and judge and keep kicking my own ass for thinking how I think. A new level of just an openness, a curiosity and compassion for what else is possible, and to love myself like my own child, to give myself. When he said radical responsibility, what does that mean? Radical responsibility can look like a multitude of things. For me and so many right now, radical responsibility is also radical self-forgiveness. Radical self-love. Radical, give yourself some room. We all fall down. Get back up. Do you want to keep going? You are called to. You have been chosen. Choose, right? You want to take radical responsibility? Great. There's so much more here for you. You are not judged. You are so loved. You are so supported. What you want wants you. You are worthy. I know there's these other thoughts. It's noise in your head. It's time to begin the journey to reconstruct the song you're writing, and there is room for you. It's okay. You are already more than enough. Quit trying to be and just be so that you can actually see what I'm trying to show you. Quit trying to see and just be so that I can actually help you see.
Yes. Love it.
The space between the notes. I knew you'd love that, Josh. He's a beautiful musician, songwriter.
And it's funny that that's what you brought up too, because that's one of my favorite sayings. It's the way that I write music. It's very much about the space between the notes, actually. Whether it's with my guitar, my piano, whatever I'm writing it with, it's trying to take the listener on some sort of a journey that is ultimately it's the listener's journey, right? But yeah, you're the first person I've ever heard say that besides myself, so that's pretty cool, actually.
And one thing that I would add on top of that, in terms of putting space between our thoughts, I make it a conscious effort to think as little as possible so I can be open and receive.
My God, that's a mind fuck for most of you right there.
Right.
Even with you guys talking right now, I'm internally just going back to my breath as much as possible and just focusing on the sensation of the breath so I can receive what you guys are saying right now and just flow in this. Yeah.
Keeping you present, right? and you're not trying to think thoughts. You're just here and present. Versus we're talking and you're thinking, what else am I going to say then, right?
Right.
It
Right.
still comes up. And then I'll go, when I become aware of it, I'll go right back to the breath and just over and over. It's never ending, but it's beautiful.
And I think most of us, I know I've been guilty of this for sure. You're either thinking, you're thinking of what to say because you want to have something good to say, but at the same time, you don't hear other people because you're just waiting for them to stop talking so you can interject your opinions and your thoughts and your judgments, So.
And Josh, I'm guilty of having done that with you on this show, and I didn't even realize it till listening to one of our episodes back, and you said something that was so golden and so powerful, and my dumbass missed it because I was worried about what I was going to say when you were done talking.
Right. We're all guilty of doing that. Yeah. Because, it's that whole, we always say, what do I do with my hands? So we're watching each other talk and we're like, man, I better come up with a zinger. I better have something good to say for those listeners. And then you do miss out on it, I'll message you sometimes. Right. And I'll be like, what a great episode that we just did. But I just realized it was good because I just heard it for the first time. Right.
That's right, dude. Whoa. My goodness, for any of our listeners, Andrew, right now that's listening, and conceptually, I believe there's already been some hope inserted in some hearts and some perception shifts and some new possibility. Okay, that's right. Fuck, I've been playing small, and there's a whole world of possibility out there, right? But for our listeners, how can we give them 1 to 3 easy steps to even implement or to better deal with the change that they're facing in the season of their life right now?
Great question. I would start with getting out of the head and into the heart. And the best way that I've found to do that is through breathwork. Go to YouTube right now and just type in breathwork. Yeah. There's it's called a pineal gland activation Wim Hof breathwork that you can type in. It's 45 minutes. I have everybody that I work with do that within the first week. And you'll notice a calm. If your life has been chaotic, you'll notice a calm that hasn't been there in a long time. And you'll be far more aware of your thoughts. And if you do it 3 hours before bed, you'll have the best sleep of your life. I gave it to one of my friends. And he has a Aura Ring, a sleep tracker.
Yeah.
And he had never gotten a 99 sleep score before. And you know what? That night, he got a 99 sleep score. Best sleep of his life.
Wow.
And then when we have great sleep, we usually have a great next day as well. So I would start with that. Just going to YouTube, looking up a breathwork session, and you can type in pineal gland activation Wim Hof, WIMHOF, and just do that. It's beautiful. And then what I would also say is that we have one decision in every moment. And that's, am I choosing faith or am I choosing fear? And the more we can be conscious and aware of that and choose faith in every moment, we don't know what's going to happen. But for the longest time, my default was to choose fear, to go back into my old patterns, to just with my emotions. And the more I've chosen faith, doing the thing that I'm not sure if it's going to work out, but doing it anyways, I've become more of the person that I want to become and a more evolved version of myself. So are we choosing faith or are we choosing fear in each moment? And the other thing I would do is set 90-day goals. Not too many of them. Figure out what season you're in. So am I in a health season? Do I want to focus on my health this season, lose weight or gain weight or whatever it is? Or focus on my energy and do more breath work and meditation, set a minute number on that. How many minutes do I want to do this quarter? Or am I in a wealth season? Put a number on the amount of money you want to make, 90 days, and just commit to, or relationship season or spirituality season. We could talk about that later if we wanted, but just put a number on it and tell yourself, there's nothing getting in the way of me achieving this. I'm going to be proud of myself. Like, that's where I started. Setting that losing 20 pounds and quitting drinking in 90 days. And that changed the rest of my life forever.
Momentum.
Wow. So the breath work seems very important to you. And I'm familiar with Wim Hof. I'm assuming a lot of our listeners are probably not. So can you spell that for our listeners? We'll put a link below if you're watching this on YouTube as well. But if you want to follow Wim Hof, you can check him out at...
We say...
Yeah, WIMHOF.
Yeah.
He's really good, and that's
the one that we've been doing. Can we share that one?
Yeah, one of my good friends created a breathwork app, Sam Skelly, Skelly, and it's called the Pause Breathwork app.
The Pause Breathwork. That's the one we've been doing. I love her.
It's on iPhone right now. It's not on Android, but she provides the shorter versions of breathwork.
Thank you, Lord.
Yep. They're about 3 to 5 minutes, and that's a beautiful way to put space between the notes and make the music throughout the day.
And when you're in chaos, because so oftentimes we fuck ourselves on out the gate by saying, oh, I want to make change in my life, and we get in our head about our own change and get into overload of all this shit I got to do and be, and don't end up doing shit, any of it. Josh, you know, since you've known me, the joke's been on me for not ever working out, right? Or, you know, because I never, it seemed like such a feat. So I has never gained momentum in that area until I came here. You'd be happy to know I fucking worked out and even used weights yesterday.
Oh, man.
Josh,
I'm so proud of you. That's amazing.
I know, dude. I tried to get out of it. He came up to me. He's like, "Hey," and he's like, "Hey, let's go work out." And I was like, "Well, cool, man. While you're doing that, I'm gonna go meditate." So I said, he's like,
"Right?
Oh, you gonna come meditate with me?" Like, I'm like, "Oh, you want me to work out with you?" He's like, "Oh yeah, let's go." But he knew his audience, and he taught me a workout, Josh, that I can actually commit to. I can commit to doing the things and the reps, and whether it's 15, 20 minutes, but that's something I can do again today and the next day to
manageable chunks.
Doing of it, manageable, and to start some momentum. And the same with the breath work. So right here, right now, the two things I'm committing to in this season is to actually fucking work out every day, which blows my mind. And I would even say it on here right now because I've got 1 day under my belt. Why am I able to say it right now? Because I'm committed.
Yeah. I can see that momentum in you. I can see that, you know. That's great to see. It makes me happy.
Yeah, and what I would add to that is just why you can commit to it is because it's simple. Like, Josh.
Right.
That's right.
Making everything simple.
Yeah.
For me, I go to the gym for my energy. I don't go to the gym to look a certain way. And I go to, I bullshit. It's worked out. But I only commit to 15 minutes per day. I used to make it this big thing that I had to go to the gym. I had to drive to the gym and I had to work out for at least an hour. And I needed to look this way and all of that stuff. Right. And that worked for a period of time. I would go for 2 weeks and fucking crush it. And then I would be like, oh, I don't want to fucking go to the gym. That's too much. Yeah. But now I'm just 15 minutes. It can be at the gym or in, like in my bedroom. And that's all I'm committing to. Sometimes it turns into 45 minutes, an hour.
Sure.
But 15 minutes a day. And I'm just being consistent. I'm not trying to be perfect. And I've seen the results in my body and I've seen the results in my energy just by keeping it simple, being consistent.
And if you think about that, it's so smart, right? Because if you give yourself a goal of 15 minutes, that's totally realistic. That's totally doable, right? And then you might go 45 minutes. So I think we usually do it the other way, right? We commit to so much. That's why on New Year's resolutions, like the gyms all make a fucking fortune because everybody suddenly wants to go to the gym, right? And then you go and you feel good for a couple of weeks. And then you're like, well, maybe I deserve this cake because I've been working out so hard. Maybe I deserve, you know what I mean? I deserve a break. I deserve this. And then you just kind of just get back into your routine, and that change that you were hoping for didn't really happen, right? So, I'll tell myself I'm going to go on a 20-mile run. Now, this is when I was a runner. I'm not able to do it just yet. But, really, I would set myself up to where I would pretend that my run was supposed to be much longer than it really was, but I didn't have to actually do that. So it was like this nice little surprise. You know what I mean? Like I was able to, I don't know, I felt like I was able to achieve so much more, but still run 15 miles when I was really only planning on doing 10. But I thought I had to do 20. You know what I mean? So there's little games you kind of can play with stuff like that. So I do find, like you said, you'll commit to 15 and you'll do 45 sometimes. So now you feel great about yourself, right?
So
Instead of the other way where you just get shitty about yourself, fuck change, fuck this, I can't do it, I'm never going to be able to do it. And then you just back at the same exact spot.
Yeah, Don.
And guys, change is a gift. And sometimes, I don't know, if I started to wonder if I'm just like, if it's hard for me to actually learn, or why does it feel like I've got to be hit in the soul with a sledgehammer to even get the fucking clue, right? But regardless, it's all a gift. The change can be scary because it's the unknown, but my God, it's necessary for the life that you actually want to live, to go through that heat again.
And one thing that I would love to add to this, as we're on the topic of change, there's internal change that we're making consciously, saying, I'm going to make this internal change for myself. And then there's external change where it's like, shit, the world is just fucking hitting me. This keeps fucking happening. But if we focus more on making the internal changes, making ourselves stronger, when those things pummel us, we have the strength to overcome them.
Yeah.
And like with you have changed so much internally that when this shit is hitting you, just over the past few days, the way you've been able to reframe each situation and see that it's happening for you, not to you, from the internal change that you've made yourself, has made you so much stronger to take on those external changes that just keep happening.
And when he said the internal change that I made myself, and what that's looked like is me just learning to allow change to take place within me. Because it doesn't even feel like I'm orchestrating it. I don't even know what the change looks like and how to change me. So how am I changing? I'm allowing the transformation while it's foreign. This is why willingness and openness. This is why, Josh, I love when you say lean into it. And man, it's scary. It's painful. It's uncertain, because you're not always given like, you hang on, you go through this because here's what's waiting for you on the other side. You're not always given that. What I'm saying?
And we're all afraid of, everybody's naturally afraid of pain. But the truth is that change can hurt before it works. There's a, I like to kind of tell myself, like, hold on to yourself, because this is going to hurt like hell. And you're going to come through and it's going to be worth it. It's going to hurt like hell. But I promise, do it. It's time for change.
And what is the meaning that we're making out of it? You immediately go to, and Josh, it sounds like you immediately go to, why is this happening for me?
Yeah.
So we have a decision of, why is this happening to me, or why is this happening for me? And when we tap more into why is this happening for me, we create more beautiful meaning out lives. We see the lessons.
So good, man. So good.
Yeah, it's very easy to just become a victim of everything is happening to me. I used to call it the Carlton curse, Everything's happening to me. My life is shit. Why me? Why did I get sick? oh, it's not enough that COVID hit the world. I get cancer at the same fucking time. Of course I do. Of course that's a Carlton thing. Like I'm the only person suffering. I'm the only person. Yeah, I was in a wheelchair. Some motherfuckers don't even have legs, you know? So I've learned and grown so much through this. So this did happen for me. This did happen for me to come on here and to tell my story and to be vulnerable, because we get messages every day that some of our listeners, this is helping them. It's changing their lives. To be honest with you, a few people have said that this saved their lives. So I'll take some time in a wheelchair. I'll take some suffering. If I can bring a light into somebody else's life and save them, you better fucking believe it.
I know when I was going through so much internal change when I was 24, a big part of that was the Good Life Project podcast. That gave me so much hope, so much light. So I really admire what you guys are doing, here. It's so good.
And see, like speaking of, sorry, Matt, go ahead.
No, go for it, brother.
I was just saying, just so our listeners know, like we're not some experts on this. You know, Matt and me and Hip didn't get together because we're like, we know everything. Like we're kind of going on this journey with you. Like it was all an idea, an experiment of like, what if we really listened to people? What if we really were true to ourselves, right? What if we held each other accountable? Let's try this social experiment together with our friends who became family. And so we make mistakes. We don't know.
Yeah.
Not only do we not know everything, sometimes I feel like I hardly know anything.
My God.
But I'm here and I'm learning and I'm growing, and it's gonna get shitty and it's gonna storm, and I'm gonna embrace the storm. But sometimes I'm not, and sometimes I'm gonna be pissed off, and I'm gonna tell you to fuck off, Matt, because it didn't work out this time, right?
Yeah.
Only to learn that it happened for me for a reason, and then I'm gonna thank you and say, man, I'm glad I held on to that because you were right. It worked. Life is extremely unpredictable, and trying to figure out the why it happened, the why me, that's the wrong question. You know.
Woo! Yeah, boy. And just you guys stepped into faith and continue to step into faith in every podcast that you do. You don't know, I didn't know where the fuck this podcast was going, but I'm in faith that it's going to be pretty good and help some people.
Yeah.
That's a lot of it. Yeah, the bulk of the time we don't really know, and we kind of do that on purpose, to be as real as possible. I'm not going to come up here and, I don't know, read some bullshit script about how to, get your life together in 3 easy steps, because I don't fucking know. we're going to just talk about it. Hopefully light some fires.
Yeah, I love a minute ago, Josh, you were like, what if? You're like, man, we don't have this shit all figured out. We're going through it and growing through it with all of you guardians all over the world together. So even today, in this episode, in this moment, what if you decided to go through change in your own life with us together, but taking on any of these steps that we're offering up today? What if? Well, what are you willing and that you can commit to? Just a manageable chunk, 1 act a day, 15 minutes, whatever it is. I'm committing to breathwork and to working out for the first time in my life. What are you guys committing to? And will you write us to let us know? Mark this day down, the episode. Do you want to commit to the next 90 days of creating space between your thoughts, space between the notes? And it's not, it's just the number. You want to pick 3 minutes. Something I teach my students is the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method, right? What's one thing that you'll commit to doing 5 times a week? For me, it would be, I'll do breath work, even if it's 3 minutes a day for 5 times a week. What's something else I'm going to commit to just 4 times a week? I'll work out for mine. And then what's something I'm going to do 3 times a week? What's something I'm going to do twice? And what's that one thing I'm at least going to do this once a week, right? You can create your own 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Somehow to put a number on it to gain that momentum. It's not nearly as much. That's why I love it's not, he said, it's not about perfection. It's about consistency.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I love that. And I love the 90 days too. Like that seems so much more manageable than just, I'm going to do this. I'm changing my life, ripping it right now. That's so daunting. So,
It never
Andrew, I
works.
think that's great. It never works. That's why the whole New Year. Yeah,
We're still stuck in analysis paralysis talking about I'm gonna.
exactly.
Boy, I've been a liar to myself most of my life, talking shit to me. Boy,
Yeah.
but somehow I've been given the gift to be split wide open. Everything I thought, you know what I'm saying, talk about the universe, testing everything. And I used to be in control. Oh, I don't want to have these thoughts. I don't want to feel this way. No, I'm going to bypass. I'm not going to feel this pain. I'm supposed to be the positive one. Whatever the case may be. Control, control, control. I didn't want this to happen, right? And you know, Josh, we've all been learning to let go and to just be, whoa.
Can I add one more?
Please.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Please.
Adding one mantra, just like Joshua keeps bringing up, making it simple, just one mantra to go back to keep you in alignment with who you truly are at your core, not all this superficial bullshit and thoughts and all of that. Just one mantra to go back to has helped me so much. My first one was, I'm master of my fate and captain of my soul.
Take responsibility.
Keep going back to it. Now the one I always go back to is, I'm an antenna and vehicle for love and truth.
Oh.
And it just helps me stay in alignment. There's one thing for everybody that rings true the most to them in the current season that they're in that helps them move to the next level. And when we can consistently go back to that mantra over and over and over, we have this anchor point inside of ourselves where if we have these running thoughts, we can take a deep breath and go back to, I'm master of my fate, I'm captain of my soul. I'm master of my fate, I'm captain of my soul. And just sit into that feeling. And we get back to that center point, back to groundedness. And it's not about like being enlightened. It's about just consistently going back to that mantra over and over and over. And the compound effect of doing that over time, we become that mantra.
My God. And when you say we make a new decision, what, like every minute or whatever, every moment, faith or fear, when you're battling faith or fear, ping, 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 I want to be in faith, but I'm in fear. I want to be in faith, but fuck my circumstances. That's where that mantra, despite the noise, can create a moment of silence in between the noise, bringing you back.
Yeah, and it's the thing that just fucking feels great in our body, right? I was walking down the street in Costa Rica, and it just hit me. I'm antenna and vehicle for love and truth, and it was like through my whole body, and like, whoa, that's it. So now that's my center point for the season that I'm in. And my season might change, and a new mantra might come up. That new thing might hit my body where, like, that's what's in alignment with me. And it might become my new mantra. It's just one thing to go back to over and over and over that keeps us in alignment.
Change is the great adventure, the great exploration. We don't know what we don't know, but do you really want to be able to see more? What you couldn't see, to be more, to experience so much more? Oh, let's go. We're going to have to grow and go through some change. It's painful, but necessary and beautiful. It's so worth it. Josh, anything that has happened up to this point, even though some of it's been painful, I'm still healing from some of it, right? But I wouldn't undo any of it.
Right. Yeah, I think that surprises people when sometimes I'll put like hashtag thank you cancer on some of my posts. And it's like really bewilders people. And that's a big thing for me to even say out loud and to think about. But somehow this is simply part of my journey. This is something that's happened for me, and I'm rolling with it. A lot of good has come from it. To be honest with you.
What a fucking beautiful soul.
No, dude. creating the meaning out of it. Holy shit. Like, just, I haven't gone through anything that has been like super traumatic, any health issues. And I admire the people who have and who have overcome, because it's a testament to their courage, their strength, their faith.
You know what I admire even more? It's who Josh has been in the middle. Everyone wants to celebrate the beginning and the end. You run a marathon, everyone will be on the starting line when they shoot the gun and cheer you on, right?
Right.
But then everyone disappears in your life. They're going to go to the finish line to celebrate you when you finish. But Josh, you know the real race is in the middle,
Yeah.
right? It's who we're being in the middle. Yes, there's all things, arrival points we want to be, do, have, and obtain, but the magic's in the middle, the space between the notes.
Yeah.
You know? And the reason why, because you're like, man, I admire people who's been through it, who's overcome it. My brother, he's in the middle, but look who he's been. The song's not over, right? But the beauty of who Josh is choosing to be in the middle is what I admire.
Thank you.
Man. It would be easy for us to all apply this into our life if we knew the exact outcome, right? But then we wouldn't need faith, would we?
Then
Ancient scripture says you will be sent a comfort. You will be sent a comforter. Well, why would we need sent a comforter if the plan was for us to stay stuck in our own comfort zone? We must get out of the land of the known into the unknown and be willing to go through the heat so that we can change. Oh.
one thing that's coming up for me, feeling a nudge, that bring people along with you as you start to make these changes.
Yeah.
Invite people into the breath work or into going to the gym with you. I had one friend in Chicago when I was going through the change. I was like, do you want to be my workout buddy? I found all these new workouts on YouTube that I want to do. Do you want to do them with me? And he was like, yeah. And it's the people in our life are our life.
The people in our life are our life.
And when we're growing, when we're changing, we're evolving, there are going to be people that drop off. But who's that soul family that you have, that has your back, you have their back, and you're growing together? Who's just identifying that and inviting them into new things. Shaking up your own snow globe, doing new things, and helping them shake up their snow globe so we can grow and evolve together.
I will.
Yeah, I love that.
So good. So good. Oh.
Because like with you came out here, hang out with me.
Yes, sir.
Shake up that snow globe and do new things together. Josh, you probably had so many instances where you were going through the shit and you just needed a soul family member by your side and
Absolutely.
do new things together to get you out of your head of your situation.
Yes.
And really install faith in one another.
And that's not limited to in the flesh. I feel like I've gotten to be a soul brother in Josh's life, and it's very rarely in the flesh.
Right.
Meaning, those of you that want to take on the invitation that Andrew just felt the nudge to offer up to you, to find an accountability brother or sister in your life, just to invite to go with you to shake up your snow globes together. They could live across the country and still be your soul partner in this change. For sure. Good stuff. Speaking of change, didn't know this was going to happen. Didn't know I was going to be podcasting with Andrew and my brother Joshua Carlton from San Miguel, Mexico, in the fucking morning, right? All kinds of changes happening even today. Oh my God. Oh, and it feels so good. Like Josh says that all the time. Either way, the time's going to pass in this season.
Yep. 5 years is going to happen regardless of you change or not. You're going to be the same miserable place you're maybe at now, or you might be somewhere beautiful. Let's go. Let's do this, right? Like I said, it might hurt, but it's going to be worth it.
And
when you work out, the next day you're in pain, right? But what
Yes.
happens? Growth. Your muscles grow.
The pain is the indicator. It's actually a good sign that there's work to be done here, or that there's work being done here.
Yeah.
That's good. It's real good.
I think the more I've stopped focusing on the outside, where I can't control anything on the outside. Everything outside of me can be chaos. But the one thing that I can influence are my thoughts, my feelings, and my actions. And that has come from putting space between the notes. So I can be more aware of my thoughts, more aware of my feelings, and more aware of my actions. So I can become stronger and handle the outside chaos. And I think that's a lot of what you guys have done. Put the work into yourselves. Become more aware of your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions, and made those decisions that are in alignment with truth and love in yourself.
Yeah.
But back in the day, I used to try to fucking control everything outside of me. It just led to a lot of chaos.
I think that's what I think most of us have done or are continually doing today, you know. So hopefully this podcast can help somebody today. Hopefully this helps somebody make that change, you know. So Tattoo Guardians, I'm so thankful that I got up this morning to be with you. Andrew and Matt, I'm so thankful to be able to be here and talk with you. Guardians, I'm glad you're changing with us. I'm glad you're growing with us. What is it that you want to change in your life? What is it that you really want to do? Who is that real you inside that's maybe afraid of the heat? I say lean into it. I say listen to our brothers, Matt, Andrew, hopefully myself.
Yes.
Today's the day. You want those muscles to hurt tomorrow.
So good. Thank you, Tattoo Guardians all over the world. We love you so much. Like always, write us, let us know. Oh, Andrew, thank you for joining us today and just being light to the world. What's your mantra right now?
I'm an antenna and vehicle for love and truth.
Thank you for taking that on and choosing to be an antenna for love and truth. Tattoo Guardians all over the world, we love you. Joshua Carlton, we love you. Thank you for joining us to serve the world from our table. And we'll see you all next week. Whoa, yes.